In March 2025, Dua Lipa walked out on a stage in Melbourne, Australia to a sold-out crowd and said something that no other artist at her level had ever committed to.
Another fun, crazy idea that I thought for this show, to make my life a little bit harder, I thought, why don't I do a new song every night, something different? And I thought, let's do a local artist in every place we're in.
And then she ripped AC/DC's Highway to Hell. What a song to start her tour with. "81 shows, 16 countries, 60 plus different songs in English, Spanish, French, German, Czech, Portuguese, Dutch." Dua Lipa sang Lenny Kravitz with Lenny Kravitz at Madison Square Garden. She sang Lionel Richie with Lionel Richie in LA. She sang Bésame Mucho to more than 65,000 Mexican fans in Spanish. And at the end, on the last night of the tour, she sang a song by Selena because she said she felt a connection to an artist who also belonged to two different cultures at the same time. Today's episode is about three things. First, how a refugee's daughter from Kosovo became one of the biggest pop stars in the world. Second, the songs in her catalog that secretly borrowed from music history, and what happened when the world found out. And third, the cover tradition that made the Radical Optimism Tour the most talked about live show of 2025, and the songs she performed that had already conquered the world. This is Uncovering the Cover, the podcast that explores the hidden stories behind music's greatest transformations. I'm your host, Diego Pinzón, and this episode, this is very special because we're not just uncovering one song. This episode is a love letter to an artist that has done exactly what this podcast is all about, bringing old music to a new generation and connecting cultures in the process. This is The World is Dua Lipa's Cover. Let's start at the beginning, because the beginning of Dua Lipa's story is not the usual pop star origin story. There's no American Idol backstory. There's no Disney Channel. There's no wealthy music industry family. In fact, there's war, there's displacement, and there's a father who played David Bowie and Bob Dylan in the living room every night. Dua Lipa was born on August 22, 1995 in London, but her family came from Pristina, the capital of Kosovo. Her parents, Tukajin and Anesa Lipa, had fled Kosovo in the early 1990s as Serbian forces under Slobodan Milosevic carried out a campaign of ethnic cleansing against Albanian Kosovars.
The Serbian province of Kosovo has become the latest Balkan flashpoint. Kosovo's population is 90% Albanian. They say it's ethnic cleansing. Serbs insist they're fighting terrorists.
These are the lightly armed ethnic Albanian guerrillas battling for Kosovo's independence.
Pictures from the Serbian province of Kosovo show chilling new evidence of a massacre by Serbian troops.
They arrived in London as refugees. They built a life. They had 3 children, and they kept music in the house like a religion. Her father, Dukajin, known as Dugi, had been the lead singer of a rock band in Kosovo called Oda. They had a #1 hit back home. This is a song called Era. He gave up the dream of music professionally, but he never gave it up at home. Bowie, Dylan, Radiohead, The Police, these were the sounds of Dua's childhood. Music wasn't background noise. It was the family heritage. Dua started singing at age 5. By 9, she was at the Sylvia Young Theatre School on the weekends, but not before a moment that would define her in the best possible way. A music teacher told her directly to her face that she could not sing the high notes, which made her then roll into singing lessons.
It was a school assembly, and the music teacher was auditioning for the choir, and I really wanted to be a part of it with the kids. And I put my hand up, and I was like, all right, I'm going to get up and audition. I was so nervous. And he's like, all right, get up. This is early morning. I'm trying to think, I was maybe in year 3 at this time, so really young. I was 7. Anyway, I stand up. It's like all the older kids as like the classes move back towards the back of the room. I was so nervous, and the teacher starts playing on the piano, and I have to like match the key, and I was singing, and on the high notes, nothing comes out, just air, basically. Like I just couldn't reach it.
That's so refreshing to hear.
And I
I'm
couldn't,
sure.
and the teacher was just like, okay, maybe next time. And that was it. And I was so upset and so embarrassed.
That was Dua Lipa on the Drew Barrymore Show in 2024. In 2006, the family moved back to Pristina. Kosovo was already a newly independent nation. Dua Lipa was 11 years old, and suddenly she had to relearn Albanian in a country she had never lived in. She found Kosovo's hip-hop scene, which introduced her to new sounds. She also discovered something important. Music in Kosovo was a national pride. Her father's band, Oda, still played on the radio. The culture was alive. Remember the song Era, which we played a little bit ago? Well, later in life, Dua would sing live with her dad at Sunny Hill, an annual international music festival held in Pristina since 2018.
I feel very, very proud to introduce my #1 inspiration to the stage, my dad.
The Sunny Hill Festival is organized by the Lipa family, by the way. By 15, Dua had already decided she was going to go back to London, alone. She told her parents that it was for her A-levels, which are the academic qualifications for teenagers in the UK, and the primary entry requirement for universities. But her real reason to go back?
I want to do music, but I want to do it on a global scale. I have to go back to where everything is happening.
She convinced her parents, Dukajin and Anessa, to let her go alone while they stayed in Kosovo. How did that conversation go?
Quite a one-way street, one-way conversation.
Even I think she planned all this thing to happen. It was her destiny, yeah.
I'm quite persuasive, clearly. My parents were still just like, what are you doing? Like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to keep going.
That was Dua on an interview with CBS News in 2020. Her parents, understandably terrified, agreed. Her mother required a phone call the moment Dua Lipa woke up, the moment Dua left the house, the moment she arrived at school, the moment she got home. She waited tables, she modeled for Topshop, she attended Sylvia Young Theatre School again part-time, She posted covers on YouTube and SoundCloud, which we have all heard by now, but back then, slowly, people started to listen.
People keep talking, they can say what they like, but all I know is everything's gonna be alright. No one, no one, no one get in the way of what I'm feeling. No one, no one, no one get in the way of what I'm
In 2014, she signed with Warner Brothers Records, and 1 year later, New Love came out. Be the One opened doors in 2016, and then, in 2017, New Rules arrived and the world stopped guessing.
Talking in my sleep at night, making myself crazy. Out of my mind, out of my mind. Wrote it down and read it out, hoping it would save me. Too many times, my love, it makes it feel like no.
The music video, a choreographed empowerment anthem filmed in a hotel, went viral on a scale that redefined what a pop video could do. The song peaked at number 6 in the US. It became a cultural shorthand for self-respect after a breakup, and Dua Lipa, the daughter of Kosovo Albanian refugees, winner of 2 Brit Awards, was officially a superstar. What followed was Future Nostalgia, released in March 2020, the week the world locked down. Most artists delayed their albums. Dua released hers early because it had already been leaked online. She said in an interview before that it felt like the wrong moment. And then, somehow, it became the exact right moment. Don't Start Now, Physical, Break My Heart, Levitating. Millions of people discovered disco through Dua Lipa's bedroom pop lens while stuck in their apartments. Levitating spent 77 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100. It is the longest charting song by a woman in the chart's history. It was the year-end #1 song of 2021.
If you wanna run away with me, I know a galaxy and I could take you for a ride. I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop.
She won the Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Album. She won the Brit for British Album of the Year. She sold out arenas, and she did it all while maintaining something rare in this industry. She stayed out of the drama. No feuds, no controversies. Her fandom is called Loves, and that's very appropriate because Dua Lipa conducts herself with a kind of professional grace that is increasingly uncommon. She writes for artists who need emotional inspiration. She speaks out for Kosovo. She launched a newsletter, a podcast, a book club. She reclaimed full ownership of her masters in 2023. She's not just an artist. She's a business. She's a businesswoman who knows what she wants and when she wants it. In 2024, Radical Optimism arrived. Produced with Tame Impala's Kevin Parker, it leaned into psychedelia and a rave sort of sound, a departure from Future Nostalgia's disco blueprint. It debuted in #1 in the UK, and then came the tour. 81 shows, 16 countries, and a cover every single night. We're gonna take a listen to some of those covers right after this.
I come and I go. Tell me all the ways you need me. I'm not here for long. Catch me or I go Houdini. I come and I go. Prove you got the right to please me. Everybody knows. Catch me or I go Houdini. Time is passing like.
Now we know who Dua Lipa is, and here's a beautiful irony. The woman who spent the Radical Optimism Tour honoring other artists' songs has been doing it in her own recording studio for years. 3 of her biggest tracks are explicitly built on samples and interpolations from music that came before her, and in each case, the story of how that borrowed music ended up on a Dua Lipa record is exactly the kind of thing this show exists to tell. Let's start with the one that goes back the farthest. We're going back to 1932. That's Lou Stone and his Monsignor Band with a song called My Woman in 1932. It features vocalist Al Bowley, one of the great crooners of the pre-war era. That signature element that you hear at the beginning is a repeating trumpet phrase, bright and melancholic at the same time. That riff kind of disappeared into history until 1997, when British indie artist Whitetown, a one-man project, sampled it for Your Woman. From My Woman to Your Woman. The song was a surprise UK #1 in January 1997. It's a strange, sad song about a complicated love, and that looping 1930s trumpet is its entire soul. Flash forward to 2020. Dua Lipa is in a studio in the middle of a painful breakup. Producer Cos is playing it with analog synths. Co-writer Clarence Coffey Jr. is strumming a guitar. The energy in the room is heavy. Someone starts singing, "Ah damn, you got me in love again." Dua walks in and immediately changes it to "God damn." She starts talking about her relationship, how dark it feels, how she needs an out. Cos adds strings played by his neighbor. And then Clarence Coffey Jr. suggests something. What if we sample that old Al Bowley trumpet? Late in the session, that 1932 melody slides back into the world. The sample is officially cleared as an Al Bowley original, though in interviews Dua has acknowledged she was inspired by the Whitetown version. Love Again became her self-declared favorite song on Future Nostalgia. It has over 240 million Spotify streams. The music video, Dua in a hotel ballroom, line dancing in cowboy boots with rodeo clown-style backup dancers, has over 100 million YouTube views. A 1932 trumpet, a 1997 indie flip, a 2020 disco anthem, 3 different centuries, 1 loop. And then we go to this. Come over here. Break My Heart is built on an interpolation of Need You Tonight by INXS, not a direct sample, an interpolation, meaning that the melody is re-recorded in the spirit of the original. The driving, coiling guitar hook that powers the entire track is that INXS melody. So iconic it is that INXS members Michael Hutchence and Andrew Farris, who wrote the original in 1987, are credited as co-songwriters on the Dua Lipa track. Need You Tonight was a #1 US hit in 1987. 33 years later, their DNA ended up on one of the biggest pop albums of 2020.
I've always been the one to say the first goodbye. Had to love and lose 100 million times. Had to get it wrong to know just what I like. Now I'm falling.
What makes this story even richer, Dua Lipa covered Never Tear Us Apart, another INXS classic, at her Sydney show on the Radical Optimism Tour in March 2025. INXS literally lives inside her music. And there's one more thing about Break My Heart, the drums. Producer Andrew Watt brought in Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer Chad Smith to play on it, a disco pop Dua Lipa track on a borrowed INXS melody, live drums from the Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer, and an emotionally honest lyric about being terrified to fall in love. That is the beauty of how great pop music gets made.
It's a human sign when things go wrong, when the scent of her lingers and temptation strong, cold, cold heart done by you.
In 2021, Australian electronic duo Pinzón were tasked with creating a remix of a Dua Lipa and Elton John collaboration. They did something that might sound insane on paper. They took three of Elton's greatest songs, Rocketman from 1972, Sacrifice from 1989, and Kiss the Bride from 1983, and wove their melodies and lyrics into a single pulsing dance track. The result was Cold Heart. It peaked at number 1 in the UK. It reached number 7 on the US Hot 100. And when it was released, younger listeners who barely knew Elton John songs suddenly knew every word to each one of those 3 tracks. Let's dissect them.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh, no.
Rocketman was written in 1972 by Elton John and lyricist Bernie Taupin. It is a song about an astronaut who feels more at home in space than with his wife on Earth, and a metaphor for anyone who ever felt like a stranger in their own life. It is one of the defining songs of a generation.
It's a human sign when things go wrong, when the scent of her lingers and temptation strong.
Sacrifice is about staying faithful in a marriage and how much sacrifice you still need to make it work. It reached number 1 all over Europe and 18 in the US, cementing itself as one of the most acclaimed songs by Elton John. That little bit is from Kiss the Bride. Hearing these melodies and their lyrics inside a contemporary dance track alongside Dua Lipa's modern pop production was not just a commercial moment, it was an argument. The argument that timeless music has no expiration date. 3 songs, 3 samples, 3 different eras of music history: 1932, 1972, and 1987. All of them alive inside Dua Lipa's catalog, which makes her cover tradition even more logical. She has always been in conversation with the past. The Radical Optimism Tour just made that conversation public.
Cold, cold heart done by you. Something's looking better, baby. Just passing through. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh, no, no, no. And this is what I should have said.
Alright, now we are ready to listen to Dua Lipa's covers from the Radical Optimism Tour and dissect all of them. But first, a warning. Most of these songs were uploaded to YouTube by fans, so the quality might not be the best. But let's set the scene. March 17th, 2025. Melbourne, Australia. The Radical Optimism Tour's full production run is kicking off for the first time. Stage designed like infinity waves. 5 costume changes, lasers, fire. And before Dua launches into the setlist, she stops, looks at the crowd, and announces this beautiful, reckless idea. A new song every night. Local artists only. The idea had started 7 months earlier at the Academy of Country Music Awards. Dua had performed with Chris Stapleton. They sang his song, Think I'm in Love with You, together.
Wish things could change. I know this might sound strange, but I'm in love with you. Didn't know it at the time. I know what I want to do.
She would later tell Variety, quote, "It was so much fun that I proposed it to the band and the team. How fun would it be if every night we do a different song?" And everyone was like, "Well, that's quite ambitious," end quote. Which is the polite way of saying everyone panicked a little. The process became then build a playlist before each leg, make choices as a team, rehearse the cover at soundcheck on the day of the show. Sometimes the guest artist had confirmed. Sometimes they showed up as a surprise. She performed the songs in languages she didn't fully speak. French in Paris, German in Hamburg, Czech in Prague. She said it was, quote, nerve-wracking, a lot of fucking hard work, unquote. But she never missed a night. Social media became a nightly guessing game. In Atlanta, fans speculated for days. Would it be Outkast, TLC, Ludacris, Usher? When the opening bars of Hey Ya by Andre 3000 from Outkast dropped, the crowd went completely unhinged. The song reached number 1 on the US Hot 100 back in 2004. It was made by a hip-hop duo that completely transformed pop music over the last 3 decades. It is Atlanta's gift to pop history, and Dua Lipa was gifting it back to Atlanta.
1, 2, 3, hey! My baby, you're back. But does she really wanna put this in to see me walk out the door? Don't try to fight the feeling, 'cause the thought alone is killing me right now. Thank God for mom and dad for sticking two together, 'cause we don't know how.
In Mexico City, for 3 consecutive nights in December 2025, the guessing game reached fever pitch. On night 1, she sang Bésame Mucho, the bolero written in 1940 by a 17-year-old Consuelo Velázquez, in the version arranged by Luis Miguel in front of 65,000 Mexican fans in Estadio GNP Seguros. A British Albanian pop star singing in Spanish, honoring a song that has outlived nearly everyone who ever recorded it. When it was shared online, Luis Miguel himself responded with a photograph with his face next to hers. No caption needed. By the way, if you want to know the full history behind Bésame Mucho, from its conception, passing through the Beatles, all the way to Luis Miguel, we have an episode from Season 3 here on Uncovering the Cover. Look for the episode titled Bésame Mucho, How Someone Who'd Never Been Kissed wrote one of the most covered songs in history. It is linked on the show notes as well. On night 3 in Mexico, the final night of the entire tour on December 5th, she sang Amor Prohibido by Selena, and she explained why. She said that she felt, quote, a very special connection to Selena because of their shared experience of dual nationality. Selena's Mexican and American, Dua's Albanian and British, both women who belong to 2 worlds at once. both women who made that in-between space into a superpower. Now let me take you to Auckland, New Zealand, April 2nd, 2025. The cover that night was Royals by Lorde. Now, this matters. Lorde wrote Royals at 16 years old in a suburban bedroom in Auckland. In 2013, it became the first New Zealand solo artist ever to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US. It spent 9 weeks at the top. A 16-year-old from the other side of the planet wrote a minimalist anti-materialism meditation that outfought the entire American pop machine for 9 consecutive weeks. Dua covered it in Lorde's hometown. She was honoring a song that had already made the impossible journey.
And I'm not proud of my address. In a torn up town, no postcode envy, but every song is like faulty grade rooms, dripping in the bathroom, bloodstains, ball gowns, no hotel rooms, we don't care.
From Auckland, travel with me to Dublin, Ireland, June 27th, 2025. Dua performs Nothing Compares to You, the song made famous by Sinead O'Connor in 1990. It reached #1 in the US. It reached #1 in the UK, Ireland, Canada, France, Germany, and Switzerland. It's one of the most emotionally devastating vocal performances in recorded music history. And here's the layer this show loves. Sinead O'Connor didn't write it. Prince wrote it in 1985 for a group called The Family. More on that on a future episode of Uncovering the Cover, but the story here is that Sinead took the song, stripped it to almost nothing, and owned it completely. A cover became the definite version. Dua performed it in Dublin less than 2 years after Sinead's passing in 2023. The crowd sang every single word. From Dublin to Liverpool, June 25th, 2025. Dua Lipa at Anfield Stadium, home of Liverpool Football Club, and more importantly, the city where 4 young men changed music forever. Dua has repeatedly stated that she's a Liverpool fan, so the song she chose, Hey Jude by the Beatles, of course erupted into an iconic moment for everyone present. Paul McCartney wrote Hey Jude in 1968 to comfort John Lennon's son Julian during his parents' divorce. It spent 9 weeks at #1 in the United States. It held the UK record for longest running #1 for 36 years. It has been covered by more artists than almost any song in history, and Dua sang it at Anfield, in Liverpool, in the city where John, Paul, George, and Ringo grew up. There is no more perfect cover choice. There is no more perfect venue.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a step forward and make it better. Remember to let it into your heart. Then you can start
Now back to the States. September 17, 2025 in New York City at Madison Square Garden. Night 1. Dua says, quote, "I want to tell you about a song I've known since I was 12 years old." The screen behind her lights up with a video. We see a little girl with her whole life ahead of her at a talent show, singing into a microphone. The song, No One by Alicia Keys. The girl, of course, Dua Lipa, at 12 years old, at her school talent show in England. Alicia Keys' 2007 #1 hit was the song Dua fell in love with as a kid. Almost 2 decades later, she sang it at the most iconic arena in the world, in Alicia's hometown. Her lower register matched Alicia's perfectly. On night 3 in New York, Nile Rodgers came out and they played Le Freak, a song Rodgers wrote in 1978 after he and Bernard Edwards were turned away from Studio 54 on New Year's Eve. His anger became one of the best-selling singles of all time, and of course, a #1 in the US. In Los Angeles at night 3 at the Kia Forum, she brought out Lionel Richie for All Night Long, a 1983 #1 hit. The Kia Forum became a dance floor. On night 4, Wayne Stefani materialized on stage for No Doubt's Don't Speak, a song that topped the charts in 1996 in LA, the city where No Doubt grew up. The crowd knew every word. Chicago got Earth, Wind & Fire performing September alongside her. Boston got Aerosmith's I Don't Wanna Miss a Thing on night 1, a #1 US hit, and Donna Summer's Bad Girls on night 2, another #1 in the US. Dallas got Leon Bridges. San Francisco got Billie Joe Armstrong of Green Day for Wake Me Up When September Ends. The guest list reads like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame came to her. In South America, Dua Lipa practiced her Spanish and dedicated local songs to her fans from artists that have become iconic in each country. In Bogotá, Colombia, she covered Antología, a song from Shakira's third album from 1997, which has become one of the most romantic and iconic songs in Spanish from arguably the biggest musician Colombia has ever produced. Dua Lipa kicked off her South American leg of the tour in Buenos Aires, Argentina with 2 nights, and on the first one, she gave Argentina a cover to remember with Soda Stereo's De Música Ligera. Soda Stereo is the most acclaimed Argentine rock band ever, with a career of almost 2 decades, and De Música Ligera is their most emblematic single. And Dua's performance of the Música Ligera is unforgettable because she did it at soccer giants River Plate's Estadio Monumental, the same venue where Soda Stereo recorded the song live for their 1997 farewell concert titled El Último Concierto, The Last Concert. That live version of the song from Soda Stereo has gone all over the world and is often recognized as the best Spanish rock song in history. She covers songs from every single genre imaginable. From hard rock to Europop, from disco to cumbia, from hip-hop to samba. She brought back memories singing songs by artists that impacted their generations like Kylie Minogue, Daft Punk, Jamiroquai, TLC, Miami Sound Machine, among many others, bringing their music to the current generation. The question she left everyone with is the one we'll close on. Will there be a covers album? I know that the sound quality of these covers are not particularly the best, and that's because Dua hasn't published official versions of her live performances either. These, as I said before, are all taken from fan videos that they posted online. Dua gave this as a gift to her fans, and she's letting them own the songs that have transcended generations. When Variety asked her point blank whether or not she was going to record a covers album, she said in a fake foreign accent, quote, "I cannot reveal the answer." And then she added something that felt more sincere, quote, "I'm sure other people are going to be doing after this. It is really fun and really rewarding, but it is a lot of fucking hard work. So good luck," end quote. Now, other artists have covered songs from local artists before as well. Ed Sheeran famously brought Eminem in Detroit to sing Lose Yourself. Coldplay famously covered the Música Ligera as well when they played in Buenos Aires. But she was the first one who attempted this at this level, a cover song every single night of the tour. She thinks she kind of started a trend. Rolling Stone called the cover series a joyful look back at music history. We just call it something slightly more specific. We call it Uncovering the Cover at arena scale by one of the best pop artists of this generation. And we cannot wait to see who else tries this. And that's the story of Dua Lipa and the Radical Optimism Tour. A Kosovo Albanian girl, raised in London on David Bowie and Bob Dylan records. A girl who was told she couldn't hit the high notes. A girl who moved back to London alone at 15 with a plan she couldn't quite explain to her parents. Who became one borrowed riff, one sample trumpet, one nightly cover at a time, one of the most musically literate pop stars ever in the world. She sampled a 1932 trumpet riff and called it Future Nostalgia. She interpolated an INXS hook and called it Break My Heart. She wove Rocketman into a dance track and called it Cold Heart. And then she took 60 songs from 16 countries and gave them back live and repeated one at a time to her local fans. If there is ever a covers album, it might be one of the best albums of the decade. And if there isn't, well, the memories will have to be enough. Except they already are. This has been Uncovering the Cover. This episode was produced by me, Diego Pinzón. The idea to do this special episode about Dua Lipa's Radical Optimism Tour came from my wife, Paula Velandia. If you want to know the story behind your favorite song, leave us a comment if you're on Spotify and let us know which song you want uncovered next. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok, subscribe to the show, and share it with a friend who loves music culture. And remember, every cover song tells two stories: the original vision and the transformation that gives it new life. And Dua Lipa, we can probably say she gave new life to so many of our favorite memories. Uncovering the Cover is the podcast that tells the hidden stories behind music's greatest covers. Until next time.